The trip of Hakan Fidan to Riyadh turned into a nerve-wracking thriller, with the Turkish aircraft flying at a very low altitude to avoid the radars amid missile attacks. At the summit, Ankara achieved a diplomatic victory by imposing a clause condemning Israeli aggression. However, the real shock came from the Arab states, Saudi Arabia, the Emirates, and Egypt, which sent a fiery ultimatum to Tehran. They warned about invoking Article 51 of the UN Charter for Legitimate Armed Self-Defense, refusing to become tools of Iran's blackmail. The Middle East is now one step away from a full-scale conflict between Arabs and Persians. In a move that reeks of political survival and submission, Turkey joined the Arab Bloc, condemning Iran for the attacks in the region. At the Riyadh meeting, Hakan Fidan signed a joint statement exonerating the U.S. and Israel, despite the fact that they started the war on February 28. The Turkish side limited itself to a weak statement against Israel, while Fidan reportedly mocked his Iranian counterpart, asking him not to send missiles while the meeting was in session. Ankara is following the saying, "If you can't bite a hand, kiss it," abandoning Tehran in the face of the American-Israeli steamroller. The war in Iran is entering its darkest phase after the Israeli strike on the South Pars field, the largest in the world, with the approval of the White House. The attack targeted the heart of the Iranian economy, provoking immediate outrage from Tehran, which responded with a missile barrage on Qatar's Ras Laffan facilities. Trump, playing a dangerous diplomatic game, gave the green light and then appeared as a peacemaker, claiming that Israel acted out of anger. Trump's strategy seems to aim at the complete energy strangulation of Iran, but risks a total flare-up in the Persian Gulf. The Iranian civil conflict is swallowing the MAGA movement, as Trump's blind alignment with Netanyahu is blowing up the American domestic scene. The resounding resignation of Joseph Kent from the National Counterterrorism Center and his allegations about fabricated threats by the Israeli lobby caused an earthquake at the Pentagon. At the same time, the iconic Ikari Pritson bowler declares MAGA dead, referring to the country as occupied. Trump's base sees the America First doctrine being sacrificed on the altar of foreign interests, while American blood and money flow endlessly into the Persian Gulf. The Arab Gulf states are calling for the complete destruction of Iran, now urging Washington not to stop until Tehran is completely leveled. While they initially opposed the war, Iranian attacks on oil infrastructure turned the neighbors into bitter enemies, who are now demanding the heads of the mullahs. Trump is exerting intense pressure to create a coalition of the willing, seeking to drag the Arabs onto the battlefield to legitimize his campaign. The rupture is now definitive. The Gulf demands the elimination of the Iranian threat in the Straits of Hormuz, turning the region into an arena with no way back. The U.S. operation in Iran is sparking a global conflagration, with 9 countries on the front lines of danger. China is facing a severe energy crisis, while Russia is supporting Tehran with satellite data. Turkey is trembling at the prospect of a Kurdish state being created, while the Houthis are preparing strikes in the Red Sea. In an unexpected move, Ukraine is assisting the U.S. in the Gulf, while tensions are shifting to the Pacific, with North Korea making threats and South Korea becoming weaker defensively. Syria and Egypt are sinking into economic and political destabilization, completing the puzzle of global conflict.
Donald Trump is at a critical crossroads.
As Iran attempts to strangle the Strait of Hormuz, threatening the global economy, despite the success of Operation Epic Fury on the battlefield, the skyrocketing oil prices are causing intense concern at the White House. Trump proceeded to release 172 million barrels from the strategic reserves, while considering a plan for permanent naval escort of tankers. With 2 tankers already burning in the Persian Gulf, the United States is called upon to decide whether to escalate military action to guarantee the flow of energy. The global economy faces a deadly threat, as the Strait of Hormuz has turned into a dead zone, cutting off 20% of the world's oil flow. According to Axios and JP Morgan, the market is losing 12 million barrels per day, while the historic release of reserves by Trump and the IEA covers only 10% of the deficit. The situation is leading to explosive stagflation and a biblical recession for Europe. If the military operations do not immediately open the strait, Trump will be faced with the dilemma: a full-scale invasion of Iran or a global economic collapse. The former Prime Minister of Israel, Naftali Bennett, warns Turkey of an immediate military response if it continues to harbor radical Islam. Ankara under Erdogan is accused of turning from a transit country into a professional hub for ISIS, while also supporting Hamas and the Muslim Brotherhood. The suspension of trade relations and the rhetoric about the capture of Jerusalem have put Turkey in the crosshairs of Israeli security. While Greece remains a pillar of stability, Israel makes it clear that it will not allow the creation of a new Islamist alliance that threatens its existence. The fateful end of the Ottoman plans is approaching. Iran adopts the doctrine of holistic attrition, declaring a constant war against the West with the goal of complete energy blockade. The Hatam al-Anbiya military staff warns that every tanker heading to the U.S. and Israel is a legitimate target, predicting that the price of oil will soar to $200. Tehran intends to cause economic suffocation and social uprisings in Europe and America through continuous sabotage and harassment in the Gulf. While Turkey trembles at the impending collapse, Greece emerges as a stable stronghold, prepared for the unpredictable consequences of global destabilization. The fateful end of cheap energy is here. The FBI issued an urgent warning about an imminent suicide drone attack over Los Angeles, causing panic among the American public. The threat involves swarms of cheap but deadly drones that can penetrate traditional air defense systems, targeting critical infrastructure and crowded areas. While Trump escalates operations in the Gulf, bringing the conflict onto American soil marks a new and nightmarish phase of the war. The kamikaze drone technology that was tested in Ukraine and the Middle East now threatens the center of global entertainment, marking the end of America's invulnerable zone. The planet is sinking into economic Armageddon as the price of oil reached $120 after the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. Donald Trump described the crisis as a small price to pay for neutralizing Iran, while BlackRock shocks Wall Street by restricting withdrawals from major funds. The loss of 20% of the world's oil supply is causing a financial bloodbath. While Iranian attacks hit desalination facilities, Greece is securing its energy supply while watching the ironic collapse of economies that relied on Iranian energy.
Thank you for watching us. To be the first to receive all the latest updates, please like and subscribe to our channel.